Okay, so this week we're going to add a few finishing touches to a previous PowerPoint. So obviously we looked last week at how you can create a PowerPoint using AI with systems like Gamma. So if you've got that still, we could use that, or you could use a previous PowerPoint you've created in session. Totally up to yourself. So we're going to look at how we can animate and how we can make changes, further changes to your PowerPoint. So I'm going to use one of the Gamma created AI PowerPoint I've created in the past. This one's on the history of the founding of the internet. And I'm going to just start having to have a look at the actual original. So I'm pressed F5, which starts your PowerPoint. And I'm going to go through the various pages. And straight away, you can see that all you've got is a very basic transactional sort of, changing one slide to the next slide. Nothing major, nothing sort of animated or graphical taking place whatsoever. So I'm going to go through and just show you the slides very quickly. There's only 10. That's pretty well sorted. So, okay, so let's have a look. So let's start with transition straight off. So let's start with the first transition. Now, generally, it's considered sort of bad practice to have different transitions on different slides. Now, I know we've done that in the past, but just for this demonstration purpose, I'm going to do the same transition to all the slides. So to be able to do that in one operation, I need to highlight all these slides together. And a simple little shortcut to do that is click on any slide you like, doesn't matter which, and then hold down the Control button and the letter A. Now, Control A means select all. Then everything will be selected, each slide, as you can see. All the slides from the beginning right through to the end are now selected. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the transitions menu, which is the fifth menu from the left. And I'm going to choose my transition now. Of course, when I click on each transition, it will give you a preview of what it will look like. So you can try all the different transitions you like. And don't forget, there's a little drop down button here. We can get loads of extra transitions as well. Now, again, don't go crazy with your transitions. You want something, especially with a business type PowerPoint, you want something which is reasonably quick and reasonably interesting. I mean, you probably wouldn't go for curtains. That's origami. That might be a bit too distracting. Curtains, you might find the same. I'll show you curtains. A little bit slow curtains. Can't find it. There you go. Found it. It's not bad the first time, but once you've watched it a few times, it takes a little bit too long. So I'm probably going to go for something a little bit quicker. I don't know. Simple push up. There you go. That'll be fine. So that's that. So if I press F5 now, it will start from the beginning, and the first one will appear. And then as I go through the various slides, it will just scroll through one after the other. Okay. Okay, don't need to go any further. Next thing we need to do is what's called animations. Now, animations they're a bit like transitions, but they're what appears on one particular slide. So changing one particular slide only. So for example, let's just say we wanted that image to appear, but we didn't want it to appear with the original. We wanted it to appear by itself, maybe fade in or something. So we're going to go to the animations button, and we're going to select one element. Now, an element, as far as it's concerned, can be, for example, a paragraph. So that would be classed as one element, or a body of text. Okay, and I will show you in a minute how to group elements together. So you can have certain things all grouped together. So I've grouped the number 2 with the heading as well as the body there of text. So that's a sort of grouping. I'll come to that in just a minute. Let's start with simple elements, such as an image. So if I want that image to, say, bounce in, I could choose, there we go. So I can choose the type of animation. Now I can choose the time at which it happens. For example, at the moment it's set to on click. Or I can have it appear with the previous. So when the previous slide appears, I can choose that with a delay. So let me just leave that as on click for now. So if I go ahead and run, so press F5. Now, when I click the button, it will go to the next slide using the transition. And again, it will go to the next slide using the transition. But here, there's now an area which hasn't actually, not showing what it should be showing, and that will happen when I click the button because we're using onClick, and that will bounce in, and the rest will appear normally. So likewise, I can do the same with bodies of text. So if I find a suitable body of text, yeah, I'll use this one. So I could possibly want these two to appear after the person or presenter clicks. Now to do that, I need to group them together, and the grouping basically means they are treated as one element. So when I click on one of the items, I can then press Control button and then go and click on another item. Now it's a bit difficult sometimes. You almost have to click outside of the area. But what I'm actually doing, I'm clicking where the imaginary box would go around that second element. And when I do that, before I need to click anywhere, I actually get a plus button. So I'm holding down Control to show me where the plus button will be, and I do a single click. And now I've got two elements grouped, well, two elements are actually active together. To group them, what I need to do now is to click the right mouse button, and in the menu, choose the grouping, and then click on grouping itself. And that will now treat that as one element. When I click off and click back, those two parts now belong in the single group. And I do the same with this. I go up and choose the other item. I click right mouse button, go to group, go across to group again and click. Again, they're groups. Now, what I'm doing this for, remember, is that if they're treated as one element, they will animate together. So both the heading and the text will come in together. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to have the first one appear. So I'm going to click on the first one. There we go. I'm going to tell it to choose appear as the animation. So it will appear. And the second one, I'm going to click on the second one. I'm going to choose that to appear. Now, when I click on each one of them in turn, I've still got onClick as a default. So that will appear. Likewise with that, onClick's appearing. So what we're going to do now, if I run this presentation so I can see a full size. Now, a little tip for you. This is the fourth slide. So if I press F5, I have to go through the first three slides to get to this slide. But if I press Shift and F5, it will take me directly to present to this slide. So it saves me going through the first couple of slides to get to this slide. Particularly useful when you've got a lot of slides, as you can imagine. So here we are. Here's the slide presented. Now, of course, it's no longer showing automatically those two blocks of text. So what I need to do is click the mouse button or press a key, and the first block of text will appear, and click a key or press mouse button again, and the second block of text disappears. And if I click again, of course, it moves on to the next slide. Now we can do that throughout. So I can go through, I can do the same thing with the next slide. I can group them. I can click on the next grouping, make an actual grouping. Okay, so click on, and it doesn't matter which order, but I like to do the first one first, so they always appear in the correct order. So click appear. That comes up with the number 1. Bear in mind the numbers represent the order in which things happen. So the second thing I put an animation to should be number 2. There we go. So when I click, the first one will be number 1, so that will appear. When I click it again, second click will bring up number 2. So again, Shift, F5. Doesn't show me those bodies of text, so it's waiting for me to click the button. First one appears. Second one appears. Okay, so you can do that throughout, and you can make all sorts of changes, many changes you like, really. There's no reason why you can't also group images together with text, so you can group both text and images together. Okay, so now I've done a few little changes. Let's see what difference that makes. So I'm going to start by pressing F5 to start from the beginning. First slide loads. Second slide loads. And so on. Now you ready for the image? There's the image bouncing in. This has two blocks, two groupings which are going to come in. So click the button, there's first grouping, there's second grouping, and so on. Now, of course, you could enjoy some nice music to this. So the next stage might be to add some music. Now, the trick with this is to put the music on the slide you want the music to start at. So I'm going to go straight to the first slide, okay? And I'm going to choose Insert, and I'm going to choose Audio. Once I find it, there we go. Now, I've already taken the liberty of getting some music. You may not be able to hear the music, by the way, so in the recording, don't worry if the music doesn't play very well or doesn't play at all. So I've already taken the liberty of getting some music. Now, there are sites you can get music. I've already put this site up, Pixabay, and a link to their free music. Pixabay also have free images and all sorts of other free downloads. But the free music facilities there. You can go off. You can give it keywords or relaxing instrumental. I think is what I used, and then you can go and listen to the actual music there and then. Don't know if you can hear that at all, but that music's now playing. Okay. So that's how you get music. Obviously, you can just download it then. So there's a download button. You can go ahead and download it. So I've taken the liberty of downloading one or two already. So I'm just going to bring one of them in. So go to audio from my PC. And I'm going to choose one of the pieces of music. And I'm going to choose Insert. Now, what it does, it actually puts the music as an icon. Now, there's no reason why the icon needs to be on the actual visible part of the screen. You can physically put the icon just to the side of the screen where it will still belong to the slide, but it won't actually be visible to the user. Anyone being shown this demonstration. Now we need to go to the menu which has appeared up here, and we need to tell it how to start the music. So I'm going to tell it to start the music. I want it actually to start automatically. And I also want to tell it to play the music across the next slide. So not to stop as soon as the slide changes. So there's an option here to play across slides, which means the music will start on the very first slide. So you load your presentation, the music will start, which is going to obviously sound quite nice. And then as you move from slide to slide, the music will continue uninterrupted. So that should be quite nice. And the music, of course, once the slide finishes at the very end, the music will automatically stop as well. Now, you can also tell it to rewind or to loop the music until basically you stop. So if you think the music could be a little bit shorter than the presentation, or the presentation is, delayed with someone talking or asking questions, then you can also choose loop until stopped, which basically means loop until you stop the presentation. Okay. So let us see what it's like. Now, again, you may not be able to hear the music. I have to take my word for it. It will be playing. So I'm going to press F5. That will start the presentation. It is in my speakers starting to play music. Oh, just disappeared. Sorry. I was trying to play music, but it disappeared. So it's coming through. And of course, the presenter will be talking at all times. Okay, I'm not going to do any more. That's basically the context of our session for further PowerPoint. There is one final thing you can look at. A few ways of doing this. Basically, saving your PowerPoint. Now, when you save your PowerPoint, normally you just sort of save it once and it'll be automatically saved. But there is an option with PowerPoint where you can actually save it basically as an application. It's called a PowerPoint show, and it will basically become a very much a sort of almost like a computer application. You'll be able to save it. So I'm going to actually save this on my downloads folder. I'm going to save it there. Okay, don't worry about that. That's to do with the font on the original presentation. I'm going to minimize and go back to my files, bring my files across, look at downloads. So there is my presentation, but when I click on it, you don't need to actually have a copy of PowerPoint anymore, because it's PowerPoint show. It actually just requires that you double click on it and it will run it as a standalone application. So double click, and straight away it's running. And it's going to look exactly the same as if we've used now. It's hard for you to appreciate what it's actually doing now. It's running a PowerPoint without PowerPoint itself. It's including the music. It's got the animations. It's got everything we had on the original PowerPoint, but it's basically a standalone file which you can share with any Windows user, and in some cases can be used in different operating systems such as the Apple Mac and Linux, etc. So there you go.